When the Miami Heat's Big Three era began in 2010, one bold prediction instantly became legendary and infamous. Not one, not two, not three. LeBron James promised a dynasty of championships before the trio had even played a single game. But now, Dwyane Wade is setting the record straight and he's not holding back. Wade makes it clear that moment wasn't a group decision, it was all LeBron. In fact, Wade says he sat there with his head down because he knew better. He had already climbed the mountain, winning a championship in just his third season, and he understood how brutal that climb really is. Wade even calls that speech an internal conversation that never should have gone public. It wasn't arrogance from him or Bosh, it was LeBron's youthful overconfidence, spoken before he truly grasped the grind required to win even one NBA title. And that subtle distancing, it speaks volumes about how their mindsets differed from day one. But if Wade knew the road was that tough, why did LeBron charge into it so blindly? The answer reveals just how naive he really was, and how that mindset shaped everything that followed. It was one of the most replayed moments in NBA history. LeBron James on stage declaring not one, not two, not three, not championships for the Miami Heat. But according to Dwyane Wade, that fiery prediction was never supposed to leave the locker room. In a recent interview, Wade drops a bombshell. That entire speech was an internal conversation. Locker room talk meant to stay behind closed doors. And when LeBron let it fly in front of a packed arena and millions watching worldwide, Wade says he immediately knew it was a mistake. You can even see it in the footage. As LeBron counts up the rings they haven't yet earned, Wade lowers his head in disbelief. He'd already won a title and understood how brutally difficult each championship really is. Wade knew those kinds of statements paint a target on your back, and once they're public, there's no walking them back. It's a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse into just how chaotic that moment truly was. But Wade's reaction tells us more than just regret. It exposes a massive gap between his championship mindset and LeBron's. And that gap, it would define everything about their early years together in Miami. When Dwyane Wade heard LeBron James promising not one, not two, not three championships, he didn't just cringe, he knew reality was about to hit hard. Wade wasn't speaking from hype or headlines. He was speaking from experience. By his third NBA season, he had already carried the Miami Heat to a championship, dropping 35 points per game in the 2006 finals and dragging a hobbled Shaq to the mountaintop. That battle-tested climb taught him the brutal truth. Winning even one NBA title is an unforgiving, exhausting war. So when LeBron, 8 seasons deep and still ringless, stood on that stage talking dynasty before dribbling a single possession in a Heat jersey, Wade saw it for what it was: youthful naivety colliding with harsh reality. And that difference in mindset mattered. Wade understood championships aren't guaranteed by talent or talk. They're forged in pain, sacrifice, and relentless grind. LeBron at that point hadn't felt that weight yet. That's why Wade says he lowered his head. Not in shame, but because he already knew what was coming. But how did that inexperience shape LeBron's entire approach to chasing greatness? The answer lies in what happened next, and who had to carry him there. LeBron James was already an MVP, a global icon, and the face of the NBA. But when he joined the Miami Heat in 2010, there was one thing he wasn't: a champion. 8 seasons into his career and still ringless, LeBron didn't fully grasp just how brutal the road to an NBA title really is. That's why his now infamous not one, not two speech wasn't just overconfident. It exposed his inexperience. Dwyane Wade, who had already climbed that mountain, immediately recognized it. He says he looked down during LeBron's speech because he knew it wasn't that simple. Winning isn't about super teams or highlight reels. It's about surviving the grind, adapting under pressure, and elevating your game when everything's on the line. Wade understood that because he had lived it. LeBron, for all his talent, hadn't. And that gap in understanding showed early in their run together. When adversity hit and the fairy tale predictions collided with reality, the King still had lessons to learn about what it really means to earn a crown. But LeBron wouldn't learn those lessons alone, and the people who guided him next would change his legacy forever. When LeBron James took the mic and started counting championships that didn't exist yet, not one, not two, not three, The arena roared, but one man in that building wasn't cheering. Pat Riley, the legendary Heat president and architect of that super team, sat stone-faced, almost uneasy. And if you know Riley, that silence spoke volumes. This is a man who's been there, a Hall of Fame coach, a multi-time champion, a master of building dynasties. He knew instantly that LeBron's bold proclamations were painting a massive target on Miami's back before the first tip-off. In that moment, Riley wasn't doubting the talent. He was doubting the timing. You don't promise a dynasty before you've earned a single banner. And as Wade has now revealed, that fiery speech wasn't even part of the plan. Riley's expression told the story. He understood the weight of those words and the relentless scrutiny that would follow. It was the look of a man who knew the climb ahead just got steeper. But Riley's influence on that era didn't stop with a raised eyebrow. His role in shaping LeBron's legacy and saving it, and is a story that few fans truly know. For all of LeBron James's greatness, the MVPs, the highlights, the global superstardom, one truth keeps resurfacing. He needed help to reach the mountaintop, and nowhere is that clearer than in Miami. Without Dwyane Wade's leadership and championship pedigree, and without Pat Riley's championship blueprint behind the scenes, LeBron's story might look very different today. Wade had already proven he could carry a team, winning a title in just his third season. Riley had built dynasties in Los Angeles and Miami. Together, they gave LeBron not just support, they gave him structure, culture, and a crash course in what it takes to win at the highest level. And it worked. In Miami, LeBron finally learned how to translate regular season brilliance into postseason dominance. But the uncomfortable truth is this: had he gone anywhere else without that foundation, we might not be talking about a four-time champion. That era wasn't just about talent, it was about mentorship, discipline, and championship DNA guiding a superstar to the next level. Yet even after Miami, LeBron didn't stop seeking support. Every stop on his journey was carefully calculated, and the next chapter shows just how strategic he really was. ChatGPT said, LeBron James has always been more than just a player. He's been a strategist, and nowhere is that clearer than in how he's chosen his teams. After leaving Miami, LeBron's next chapter wasn't a gamble. It was a calculated chess move. He returned to Cleveland, but only once he knew Kyrie Irving was entering his prime, and Kevin Love was on the way. That wasn't coincidence, that was planning. And when he later left for Los Angeles, the same pattern repeated. Before LeBron ever suited up in purple and gold, reports were already swirling about the Lakers' aggressive pursuit of Anthony Davis. He didn't just join teams, he built environments stacked with elite talent to maximize his chances at more rings. This strategic approach worked, but it also fueled critics who argue that LeBron's path was engineered, not conquered. Unlike stars who won with what they had, LeBron built rosters to fit his vision, stacking the deck to tilt the odds in his favor. But even with hand-picked stars, the results tell a complicated story. Because despite all the talent, all the moves, and all the planning, the trophy case still has one glaring number. Here's the uncomfortable truth that fuels one of the NBA's biggest debates. For all the hype, all the super teams, and all the strategic moves, LeBron James has 4 championships in over 20 seasons. 4. That number becomes even more polarizing when you stack it next to Michael Jordan's 6 in just 15 seasons, or Kobe Bryant's 5 in 20, including 2 earned without another MVP caliber star. And that's the heart of the criticism. LeBron's path was meticulously constructed with elite help at every turn. Wade and Bosh in Miami, Kyrie and Love in Cleveland, Anthony Davis in LA. Yet the ultimate payoff never matched the expectation he himself set with not 1, not 2. Critics argue that for a player often called the GOAT, 4 rings feels underwhelming compared to legends who climbed the mountain with less stacked decks. It's the contrast between dominating an era and navigating one, and while LeBron's longevity and individual numbers are unmatched, championships remain the ultimate currency of greatness. But here's where the debate gets even more heated, because when you look at how Kobe earned his later titles, the contrast with LeBron's approach becomes impossible to ignore. When fans debate Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James, this point always cuts deep. The degree of difficulty. After Shaq's departure, Kobe didn't chase super teams. He didn't orchestrate power moves or wait for another MVP to arrive. Instead, he rebuilt the Lakers from the ground up, leading them to 2 more championships with Pau Gasol as his best teammate and a roster filled mostly with high IQ role players. And he didn't just win, he tore through a brutal Western Conference packed with juggernauts, proving that his relentless mentality could elevate those around him to championship level. That's That's why critics say Kobe's rings, especially those final two, carry a different weight. They were earned without the luxury of hand-picked superstar support. By contrast, LeBron's titles came with carefully constructed rosters stacked with all-stars and Hall of Fame talent, yet still resulted in fewer rings over a longer career. It's a stark contrast in philosophy. Kobe thrived in adversity, while LeBron often sought to control the conditions, and that difference shapes the entire GOAT conversation. But if Kobe's grind was forged in fire, what does that say about Wade's perspective on how much LeBron still had to learn? The final piece of the puzzle reveals everything. It's the kind of subtle jab only a legend can throw. And Dwyane Wade just delivered it. Looking back on that infamous not one, not two moment, Wade isn't just laughing it off. He's making it crystal clear that he always understood the grind. He'd already been to the mountaintop, dragging Miami to a championship in just his third season and averaging a monstrous 35 points per game in the finals. So when LeBron James, 8 years into his career and still ringless, started promising an unstoppable dynasty, Wade says he put his head down, not out of shame, but because he knew those words were coming from overconfidence, not experience. That subtle shade cuts deep because it reframes the whole narrative. Wade wasn't caught up in the hype, LeBron was. And now, over a decade later, that speech has gone from iconic to ironic, a moment even LeBron himself would probably like scrubbed from history. But this wasn't the end of the story, that was just the spark, because from that moment on, LeBron's entire career became about proving those words weren't just empty bravado. If you're loving this breakdown of NBA history's rawest truths, hit that subscribe button and lock in with Hoops Lockdown, because the next part of this story shows how LeBron rewrote his legacy from that very mistake.